coffee. Oh, this is not sponsored. No free brand deal, Starbucks. Ah, this is not Starbucks. What's up, Bropair? Welcome back to the channel, and you clicked on this because you wanted to find out what the pros and what the cons were of being an au pair. Let's start with the pros. So for the most part, there's a lot more pros to being an au pair than there are cons. So the first pro of being an au pair is that you get to experience a new country and a new culture. So relating it specifically to America, because I mean you can au pair in like Netherlands and France, so there's a few places where you can actually go and au pair, but the majority of what I say is going to be tailored kind of specifically to America because that's where I'm au pairing. So you get to experience a new country, you get to experience a new culture. In America, they do holiday, like their holidays are a huge thing. So like we recently just had Halloween. Here's a photo of here. The way that the media portrays it is, it looks like so much fun. Like everyone dresses up and they go trick-or-treating, and I finally got to experience that, which is really, really cool. So you get to experience all like the big holidays. So say Halloween, 4th of July, Thanksgiving, Christmas. Americans just do it like so much bigger. So that's also pretty cool. The second pro to being an au pair is that you get the opportunity to become more independent. With being an au pair, it basically eases you into learning how to adult. So it's kind of like you're living on your own, but not really, because like you do have the family here, and I mean they pay for like your rent and also your food. So it's kind of like living on your own, because I mean you still have to like cook for yourself and whatnot, and now you have to also like cook for the children, and then do your own laundry and stuff like that. So it's like a nice introduction to becoming an adult. So if you really want to ease into learning how to become an adult, then by all means become an au pair. The third pro of being an au pair would be that within the year, you'll learn so much more about yourself and what you're truly capable of. So one thing like I know personally, because I got here in February and it's now November, and I'm definitely not the same Jared that came here in February. I can actually cook now. But it's actually for self-development and learning more about yourself, it's probably one of the best ways to become more independent, to step out of your comfort zone, and to just grow as a person. The stuff is like really good. It's iced coffee, but it's like got like, I think they put vanilla syrup in it or something. But it's like vanilla iced coffee. It's like the perfect combination. Another pro would be that the realization that you're making a difference in the lives of the children that you take care of. And that is a very rewarding feeling. And once you have a taste of that feeling, it gets you through the tough times. Just to know that you're making a difference in the lives of the next generation. Another pro is that you're going to meet a ton of new people and make a ton of new friends, and these friends could easily last you a lifetime. And it's because I mean you're gonna meet friends, you're gonna make American friends, and you're gonna meet other au pairs, and they're gonna be from somewhere in this world. So like Japan, Greece, Brazil, South Africa. So you're gonna have international friends, which is really, really cool. Another pro is that if you're lucky enough, you'll get to do a lot of traveling with the family. But also you do get 2 weeks of paid vacation, and you can use that to pretty much go anywhere you want. And if you're traveling from state to state or like neighboring states, it's not that expensive. So if you budget your au pair stipend very well, then you will be able to travel like throughout the states. For those au pairs who are from countries where their home language is not English, you'll definitely be able to improve your English coming here, because pretty much everyone just speaks English here. And so you'll be forced to have to speak English to like your host kids and like your host parents and like the people around you. So it is a very good thing and a good way for you to improve your English. Another pro is that it is probably one of the cheapest and best ways to live abroad, to get a taste of what it's like to live in a certain country. So say you really, really want to stay in America, you can use this year or whatever to as like a trial run or practice, just to see if you'll actually truly like living in America. My last pro would be that some families will treat you like gold. As every au pair is hoping that when they come here to meet their host family, they want them to treat them as an actual family member. And honestly speaking, some do, and then some don't really. There are some families out there that do kind of just see you as an employee. It is very sad, but it is just one of those things. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but just got to keep that in mind when you're actually in the process of interviewing with families and matching with families. Like, you got to really ask them about how they treat their au pairs, if they've had au pairs before, and if they haven't, then kind of just read between the lines of how they are and they're interacting with you over Skype. So I mean, that's a nice segue into the cons of being an au pair. One of the biggest ones is you're going to be living, if any of you have ever had a job before, you do know that sometimes your boss is very, very nice, and then sometimes your boss is not so nice. So one of the biggest things with being an au pair, and one of the biggest cons of being an au pair, is that you're going to be living in your boss's house. You're going to be living with your boss or your employer. So that in itself is very tough. It comes with its own challenges. And I mean, it's just a very unique situation. Another con would be that, also from like my experience, is that you kind of do feel like you're constantly on. So it's like, yes, you can, your maximum amount of hours, I think it's like 45 hours per week and like 10 hours a day. But sometimes it doesn't always work that way. So sometimes your work hours for a certain day or a certain week might go a little bit over that, because like, if you have to really look at it, like maybe the parents ask you to do something or to do something with the host kids, and even though you might be technically off, sometimes you just kind of just let it slide. But you need to set your boundaries like right from the beginning, because I mean, you're in the house, and so it is easier for one of the host parents to just go up to you and just say, hey, can you help me with this quickly, or help me with the host kids. So there is that dynamic of, you're not always off unless like you're literally out of the house. But I mean, it's not the end of the world. Another big con is that you're moving here to whatever country you choose, and you're going to be away from your family and friends. It does get very difficult. Also, depending on your outlook on, like, I mean, if you constantly dwell on being away from them and you're constantly thinking about them, then it will mess with your mind, and then you will become homesick. It is going to be very tough to have to deal with the homesickness, and especially around the holiday times, such as Christmas, or I don't know, all the other big holidays. But Christmas is a very big one. Like for me, for example. So being away from family and friends, also on birthdays, also on birthdays, it can be a very tough time. So this was the first year that I missed my brother's birthday, and it was very tough. So I video called him and everything, so that did make it a little easier. But it is tough to have to spend a birthday away from one of your siblings or one of your family members or one of your friends. So that's when homesickness might kick in the most, is during birthdays or holidays. So what I did is that I sometimes would think about them like during the day, but I would kind of like limit that time, and then I'll just go and do something else quickly, like just to get my mind off of it, so that I wouldn't give myself the opportunity to get homesick. And also, working with kids, they kind of keep you very busy. So it's like you don't even have time to like think about your family and friends, except for when it's like your off time and you're just chilling or something. So another con would be the culture shock. So if you don't necessarily speak English coming from your home country, like if you don't speak it very well, although it is great that you'll get the opportunity to better your English, it is a little bit of a culture shock to now adapt to this new country and how their society works and everything. So you just always have to keep that in mind. I mean, it's not the most difficult thing, but even like little things like when it comes to driving, Americans drive on the opposite side of the road as to what people in South Africa do. And also the steering wheel is on the opposite side of the car. So it's like little things like that you have to just adapt to. But within the first month, you'll be fine. You'll overcome it. It's your outlook on the whole situation. So if you're going to be negative about everything, then you're going to have the worst year of your life. But if you're just optimistic and you see every challenge as being a chance to better yourself, then you'll have the best year of your life. So if you're coming here specifically just to travel, then it's going to be a little tough because of the salary that the au pair gets. It is like minimum wage, so it's not that much. So you get $195.75 a week. So I mean it's not that much, and to travel on such a little bit amount of money, it can be a little tricky unless you're very frugal with your money and you do save a lot. My best advice would be to actually actively save. Like I give myself like $50 to spend a week on whatever I want to do, and the rest I've just saved and saved and saved. So just always keep that in mind, that if you do want to travel, you're going to have to save a lot more than what you normally would have. So it can just get a little tricky with the amounts of money that the au pair gets. But I never said it's impossible, so you just have to be very frugal with your money, and you'll be able to do as much traveling as you possibly can. Another con is that it can become very stressful, because naturally you're working with children. They're going to stress you out. They're not going to listen. They're going to talk back to you. They're just going to ignore you. You can't really fault them on it, but it doesn't mean that you won't get stressed out by kids. So you need to at least know how to manage your stress. So like what I do is that I go to the gym. I try to go every day, but going to the gym does help out a lot with just relieving all the stress. Also, that goes back with like living with your boss. It's tough to live with your boss. Okay, I'll be real with you. Being with kids, it's exhausting. Also, depending how much time that you do spend with your host kids and how much time that you are looking after them, also how many there are. So it can be very, very exhausting work. And it's not like you're like a babysitter. Like you can let them just do what they want. Depending on their age, you can kind of just like let them do what they want. But if they are like a lot younger, so like my boys, they're 7 years old, you kind of have to actively play with them and actively engage them, because otherwise they're just going to go crazy, and like they need to be actively engaged to like get rid of all of their energy. So it can be very, very tiring work. Another con would be that in the beginning, because also you're coming here by yourself, you don't know anyone. So you have to be able to cope with loneliness, especially like in the beginning, in the first month or two. It can take a while to make some friends. And that is completely normal unless like you crazy outgoing. You just need to realize that, and then also just hang in there. Friends will come eventually, especially after you have your first au pair meeting. Then you'll meet the other au pairs, and they'll more than likely be your first friends. So don't stress too much about that though. So that's all the pros and cons I have for you today. I hope that this gave you a better depiction of what it's really like to be an au pair. So thank you for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. I will truly appreciate it. Subscribe if you aren't already. I will see you in the next video. I'm out, and roll the outro.